I'm Walter Cronkite. This is the story of a war that shook the foundations of France, then ended her Asian empire. It is a story whose climactic moment came in an obscure jungle outpost named Dien Bien Phu.
Laos, the strategic key to Southeast Asia's richest areas, was attacked by guerrilla forces from communist Vietnam.
I represented the Hearst Press and had been commissioned to do a series of articles on the rebel leader, Fidel Castro, which in itself was fine, but the question was, how could I get to him?
Light the candles of fun on your golden yellow cake. Pillsbury Deluxe.
A hotly contested election campaign closes with Senator John F. Kennedy the choice of his countrymen as the 34th President of the United States. The youngest man ever voted into the White House, Mr. Kennedy is also the first Catholic chief executive in the history of the country.
The only answer to communism is a massive offensive for freedom.
They caught him on his way to Stanleyville and flew him back. Patrice Lumumba securely wrote.
A new nighttime colds medicine called NyQuil.
The CIA had organized the training of the guerrillas and had forcefully advocated the invasion. The Joint Chiefs of Staff and the Secretary of Defense had approved its military aspects, and the Secretary of State had approved its political aspects. Yet, everything went wrong.
Mrs. Porter, I've got the next best thing. A new invention from Procter & Gamble. It absorbs like magic.
This moment of national independence for the people of Algeria, the creation of a great new state, represents the devoted and courageous work of the Algerian people and their leaders, stretching over many years. I congratulate them.
To halt this offensive buildup, a strict quarantine on all offensive military equipment under shipment to Cuba is being initiated.
It covers your plan for the military overthrow of the United States government.
Because frankly, you're not qualified. Your course of action in the past year has bordered on criminal negligence. This treaty with the Russians is a violation of any concept of security.
Meanwhile, Diem and his brother, Ngo Dinh Nhu, had fled the palace in disguise. They were later captured, only to die in an armored car that was taking them to prison.
In Dallas, Texas, this morning, President Kennedy and Governor Connolly of Texas shot as their motorcade proceeded from Dallas Airport to downtown Dallas, where the president was scheduled to make a speech. Vice President Lyndon Johnson has left the hospital in Dallas, but we do not know to where he has proceeded. Presumably, he will be taking the oath of office shortly and become the 36th President of the United States.
Instant Folgers. Instant Folgers taste good as fresh perked.
It was Goulart's leftist leanings and the fear that he would turn Brazil into a Castro state that led to an army revolt and his downfall.
That jam by old Virginia, that's the brand to keep in mind. Preserves by old Virginia, they're the finest you can find.
When the ballots were counted, President Johnson had a plurality of 16 million, and a landslide vote returned him to office with Hubert Humphrey as his vice president.
President Nkrumah deposed. While he was visiting China, opponents brought off a coup d'etat.
That renewed hostile actions against United States ships on the high seas in the Gulf of Tonkin have today required me to order the military forces of the United States to take action in reply.
Use Micron. Micron Oral Antiseptic. The most effective mouthwash you can buy to stop bad breath germs.
United States Marines head for security duty in South Vietnam. Their landing is at a beach north of Da Nang, where they will guard the American jet airfield against attack by Viet Cong guerrillas and infiltrators from North Vietnam, only 80 miles away.
Actually, they would breed prodigiously, eh? There would be much time and little to do.
Food stored in baggies plastic bags always have the sound of freshness, and they always taste as fresh as they sound.
The day's operation burned down 150 houses, wounded 3 women, killed 1 baby, wounded 1 Marine, and netted these 4 prisoners. 4 old men who could not answer questions put to them in English. 4 old men who had no idea what an ID card was.
The villagers' version of the incident was given by survivors yesterday. They said a patrol of 100 Americans stormed into the hamlet, drove all the residents out of their huts, then opened fire with automatic weapons. 2 American soldiers, one an officer, the other an enlisted man, are being held in this country in connection with the case, but neither has been brought to trial.
I think Puff broke their back. We can probably move in there tomorrow. Good. God willing, and the river don't rise.
The war came to Saigon early in the morning of January 31st. The first target was the symbol of the American presence in Vietnam, the United States Embassy. About 20 Viet Cong had invaded the embassy compound and were now battling American Marines and military police. The Viet Cong had penetrated to the center of what was supposed to be the most secure city in Vietnam.
In this administration, we are Vietnamizing the search for peace. The policy of the previous administration not only resulted in our assuming the primary responsibility for fighting the war, but even more significant, did not adequately stress the goal of strengthening the South Vietnamese so that they could defend themselves when we left. This is not an invasion of Cambodia. We take this action not for the purpose of expanding the war into Cambodia, but for the purpose of ending the war in Vietnam and winning the just peace we all desire.